Who could have imagined that a small garage in California filled with wires, spare parts, and the wild dream of two young Steves would one day become the birthplace of the most influential technology company in the world? Who could have predicted that Apple, the company that now shapes global culture, defines modern design, and earns more money than many countries, once stood just 90 days away from total bankruptcy? This is not just a story about computers. This is a story about ambition, betrayal, impossible ideas, collapse, and a comeback that changed the world forever. This is the story of Apple. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Focus Rise. Here we break down legendary companies, business strategies, crypto trends, and stories that shape our future. Now let's begin. The Garage. Nice. Where two Steves changed the world. In 1976, in Los Altos, California, a charismatic 21-year-old named Steve Jobs, a shy engineering genius, Steve Wozniak, and a more cautious older partner, Ronald Wayne, officially created Apple Computer. And yes, the myth is real. Their headquarters was literally the garage of Jobs' parents. Wozniak soldered circuits on a wooden table. Jobs pitched ideas with unbelievable confidence. Wayne tried to keep the two dreamers grounded. Their first product, the Apple I, wasn't even a full computer. No case, no keyboard, no display, just a board with circuitry. But it represented something revolutionary, technology ordinary people could actually use. While the world was dominated by giant corporations and machines the size of refrigerators, Apple introduced a computer that could sit in your house. This was the seed of an idea that would define Apple forever. Technology isn't for the elite. Technology should feel personal. But even legends have rough beginnings. Just 12 days after the company was founded, Ronald Wayne became afraid of the risk and sold his 10% share for $800. Today, that stake would be worth over $100 billion, the most expensive fear in business history. Apple II, the first earthquake in tech. After the modest success of the Apple I, Wozniak worked day and night to build a machine unlike anything people had seen. In 1977, Apple launched Apple II. It changed everything. Color graphics, a sleek plastic design, user-friendly software, and most importantly, it felt like a finished, polished product. Apple II didn't just sell, it exploded into the market. It became the first mass-market personal computer that normal families wanted to buy. Sales skyrocketed. Apple became one of the fastest growing companies in America. Jobs and Wozniak became multimillionaires before turning 30. But success introduced something new to Apple: conflict. Because when Jobs had money, influence, and fame, his ambition grew even faster. Macintosh, the genius that backfired. Steve Jobs wanted to create a machine so beautiful, so intuitive, so friendly that it would redefine computing itself. That project became the Macintosh. A graphical interface, a mouse, icons, menus, everything we now consider normal on a computer. Apple brought it to the masses, but visionary ideas come with a price. Jobs demanded perfection. He pushed engineers to their limits. He forced expensive components into the machine. He insisted on closed architecture, meaning the Mac wasn't compatible with anything else. The Macintosh launched in 1984 with one of the greatest commercials in history. But behind the scenes, the truth was harsh. The Mac was too expensive, too limited, too ambitious for its time. Sales disappointed, Apple began losing money, board members lost patience, and the unthinkable happened. In 1985, Steve Jobs, the founder, the heart of the company, was fired from Apple. Imagine being kicked out of the company you created in your parents' garage. That was Jobs' reality. 1985 to 1997, Apple's darkest age. A company without a soul. Without Jobs, Apple drifted into chaos. They released dozens of models. Product lines were confusing. Some devices failed miserably, like the Newton, a PDA released before technology could support the idea. Apple became the company that didn't know what it wanted to be. Profits collapsed, innovation stalled, customers ignored new products, employees lost hope. By 1996, Apple was losing money faster than ever. Analysts predicted the company had 90 days left before bankruptcy. Apple, the company that once revolutionized computers, was dying. Nothing could save it unless the man they fired came back. 1997, the return of Steve Jobs, andalito na po sakur, darechakor sa kotsata, and the deal nobody expected. Apple made one last desperate move. They bought Jobs' company, NeXT. Officially, it was a business acquisition. Unofficially, everyone knew the truth. Steve Jobs was coming home, but Jobs didn't return quietly. He arrived like a storm. His first decisions shocked employees. He killed 70% of Apple's product line. He removed unnecessary teams. He simplified everything. But his most controversial move was something nobody expected. Jobs struck a deal with Bill Gates. Microsoft invested $150 million in Apple. People booed when Jobs announced it on stage. Apple fans hated Microsoft. They hated Windows. But Jobs knew something they didn't. He didn't need Microsoft's money. He needed time. That funding gave Apple just enough oxygen to survive. And then Jobs launched the campaign that restored Apple's identity. Think different. This wasn't advertising, it was philosophy. Apple wasn't selling computers anymore. Apple was selling creativity, rebellion, individuality. Einstein, Gandhi, Picasso, John Lennon. Apple positioned itself as the brand for people who changed the world. And suddenly, the world started listening. iMac. Apple becomes cool again. In 1998, Apple introduced the iMac, a translucent turquoise computer that looked like it came from the future. Friendly, colorful, playful, the complete opposite of gray office machines. The iMac wasn't just a product, it was a statement that technology can be beautiful, fun, human. Sales surged, critics praised the design, customers fell in love. Apple was back, but one product wouldn't be enough. Jobs needed something bigger, something that would push Apple toward global dominance. So Apple created a device that wasn't even a computer. iPod, 1000 songs that saved the company. In 2001, Apple released the iPod. At first it seemed simple, 1000 songs in your pocket. But behind the slogan was a brilliant strategy. The iPod connected seamlessly to iTunes. For the first time, you could legally buy music digitally. Apple didn't just build a player, they built an ecosystem. The iPod became a cultural icon. White earbuds became a fashion statement. Apple became the company young people admired. And most importantly, iPod profits gave Apple the financial power to build the device that would change the world. 2007, the iPhone, the day everything changed, January 9, 2007. Steve Jobs walked on stage holding a device that looked simple but would redefine human behavior. Today, he said, Apple reinvents the phone. Touchscreen, apps, internet, music, movies, everything in one device. The iPhone wasn't just a smartphone. It was the beginning of a new era. It changed how we communicate, how we work, how we take photos, how we navigate, how we shop, how we interact with the world. The iPhone didn't just make Apple successful, it made Apple the most profitable company on earth. The ecosystem, Apple's secret weapon. Most companies sell products, Apple sells a universe. iPad created a new category. MacBook became the gold standard for professionals. Apple Watch dominated wearables. AirPods eliminated wires forever. Each device connects to the other. Each service locks you deeper inside the ecosystem. This is why customers stay with Apple for years. You don't buy an iPhone, you buy a lifestyle. After Jobs, could Apple survive? In 2011, Steve Jobs passed away. The world mourned. Analysts predicted the fall of Apple. People believed nobody could replace him. But Tim Cook didn't try to become Steve Jobs. He became the leader Apple needed, scaling global production, expanding into services, building Apple Music, Apple Pay, Apple TV Plus, breaking into new markets, increasing Apple's market cap to trillions. Under Cook, Apple became not just innovative, it became unstoppable. Apple today, $1 trillion empire. Today, Apple has over 2 billion active devices, is worth over 2.5 to 3 trillion dollars, earns over $100 billion per quarter, controls the most profitable smartphone market, shapes design, culture, and technology, owns the strongest brand loyalty on the planet. Apple is no longer a tech company. Apple is a global phenomenon. Its story proves something powerful. Your future isn't defined by your failures. But it's defined by what you build after them. The final message. What Apple's story teaches us. A company that started in a garage, a founder who was fired, a brand that nearly died, a comeback nobody believed in. Apple's history is a reminder that success demands risk, innovation demands courage, and the future belongs to those who dare to think differently. If stories like this inspire you, if you love breakdowns of companies, business cases, crypto opportunities, and strategies that actually work, make sure you subscribe to Focusrite right now. We create stories that motivate, strategies that educate, and insights that help you grow. Hit subscribe and let's rise together.